I think many parents are going to be listening to this, Mel. It's true. Is homeschooling driving you a little bit crazy, turning chores into lesson plans? It can happen.
Yeah, we're going to be joined right now by Dr. Michael Unger. He's a family therapist and professor of social work at Dalhousie University. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
It's Dean Andivo here. It's so good to hear from you. And I know parents are finally tuned and listening. First of all, at what age do you start even discussing chores, and how do you turn it into a lesson?
Well, let's stick at least with the school-age children here. I mean, chores should start really early. I mean, even the young ones can help. But I learned this along the way with my own kids. Sometimes we'd be traveling all around the world. When my kids were younger, I have 5 of them, and I would be turning activities as we traveled. I mean, obviously you can't substitute the classroom. And I want parents to just lighten up a little bit and realize you're not going to replicate the classroom. So what can you do in the home? Well, engage the kids in the everyday activities around your house and use those as learning opportunities. Give you a couple of simple examples. If you're sorting the laundry, even a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old is going to be able to understand the idea of sets. You know, those things that you put together, your matching socks and everything else, right? So you want to be able to sort of just think about things like that. Preparing a shopping list, calculating the number of people, basic math. How many, I don't know, bags of lettuce if they, go for this many meals. Whatever you're going to do, try and integrate it so that kids are learning things. Now, let's face it, older kids, a lot more possibilities. The television is full of politics. If you're going to do a science class, then why not do it on something related to COVID? If you're going to do a physical health class, because we teach kids get that at school too, gosh darn, you can begin to think about hand washing, everything else. And of course, let's face it, there's a lot of science in trying, or indeed ecology, in trying to understand how exactly did a bat infect a pangolin, and then a pangolin go into a wet market in China and somehow start this process. I mean, you can talk about epidemiology, science, ecology. That's all part of what's going on in the house. But definitely the chores, for sure, are a great way of gauging kids and giving them some of the skills that they're going to need, hopefully, when they move out later on.
I love that you're doing this because it's real-life examples of what you can use that school kind of education into. Because I remember being a kid, you're like, why would I do fractions? I don't need fractions in real life. But when you give real-life examples, they're more into it, right?
Like baking or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that is such a good example. Anything in the kitchen, of course, is about proportions and ratios. I mean, certainly for younger children, they love it. And the learning gets sort of almost hidden, sort of like vegetables in meatloaf. Still do that? But, the learning is sort of there without it necessarily being so. I mean, let's face it. Really why I came up on this is because I look at resilience, and I just wanted to diffuse. We know that there's a lot more stress on parents. And a lot of them are knocking themselves out, trying to become great educators and everything else. And my point is, combine the tasks. Bring kids in, because one, they should be doing chores. And by the way, there's a mental health boost for kids by feeling in a time of no control and upset, structure, routine, and feeling like they are actually making a contribution to the welfare of their families will actually increase their mood, prevent anxiety. So there's a real mental health payoff, but it's also about giving them some control, getting them moving, and actually decreasing the stress on the parents as well.
What if they need some incentive? My sisters were amazing with chores. I needed the money, honey. So to be fair, my mom's like, fine. We were like 3, 5, and 8 at the time. It was like $1 a quarter, whatever, every Friday, and we would rotate chores. Do you recommend that so it feels like more, it's fair that everybody gets to do the not so fun jobs versus the more fun chores? And second of all, do you think some allowance is okay if they're hesitant to do any chores?
Okay, I tend to go the other side of this. I appreciate that a lot of families do that. I prefer the idea, look, no one is paying me to cook dinner tonight. So I'm not going to pay my kids to do basic contributions to the home. My kids get an allowance, but that's so they can learn to manage money, buy gifts for other people, birthday parties, and all that kind of stuff. But if you do want to incentivize this, look, your kids probably need something from you. And for me, it's a very strong exchange. If you want me to have the time and the energy to play that game with you on the outside, or to read the story with you, then I expect you, if I have to empty the dishwasher, which, by the way, is again about sorting and measurement and all this kind of stuff. If I have to do the dishwasher, that's 15 minutes or 5 minutes less time that I have to read you a story. And I would rather our children understand that in a time of crisis, we need to all make our contribution to our family, and indeed get your kids doing chores for the neighbors. I know they can't touch, go near the neighbors, but they could certainly still maybe think about preparing food for someone who's ill next door, that type of thing. Anything that says, we expect you to be a good citizen as well through these chores.
Great tips.
Yeah, such great tips, Doctor. And my parents were kind of like how you were. They're like, just do your job. Do your job and empty the dishwasher and make that salad so we can all eat. All
Don't
right,
get it twisted. That was us throughout our entire teens. It was just when I was a lazy baby. For more information online, where do we go, Dr. Unger?
michaelunger.com, and there's lots of stuff I've written on these kinds of topics. Feel free to read. And my Psychology Today blog as well.
Awesome. It's the
Thank
Unger
you.
Games. Hey!
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thanks, Doctor. We'll come back with more VT after this.